Hey there, dinner time. 1 Samuel 23. And they informed David, saying, See, the Philistines are fighting against Keilah, and they are plundering the threshing floors. So David inquired of Jehovah, saying, Shall I go and strike these Philistines? And Jehovah said to David, Go and smite the Philistines and save Keilah. And David's men said to him, See, we here in Yehuda are afraid. How much more then if we go to Keilah against the armies of the Philistines? And David inquired of Jehovah once again, and Jehovah answered him and said, Arise and go to Keilah, for I am giving the Philistines into your hand. So David and his men went to Keilah and fought the Philistines, and he led away their livestock and struck them, a great smiting. Thus David saved the inhabitants of Keilah. And it came to be, when Abiathar, son of Ahimelech, fled to David at Keilah, that he went down with a shoulder garment in his hand. And Shaul was informed that David had gone to Keilah. Then Shaul said, Elohim has estranged him into my hand, for he has shut himself in by entering a town that has gates and bars. And Shaul summoned all the people to battle, to go down to Keilah, to besiege David and his men. And David knew that Shaul was plotting evil against him, and said to Abiathar the priest, Bring the shoulder garment here. And David said, O Yehovah, Elohim of Israel, your servant has heard for certain that Shaul seeks to come to Keilah to destroy the city for my sake. Are the landowners of Keilah going to surrender me into his hand? Is Shaul coming down as your servant has heard? O Yehovah, Elohim of Israel, I pray, let your servant know. And Jehovah said, He is coming down. And David said, Are the landowners of Keilah going to surrender me and my men into the hand of Shaul? And Jehovah said, They are going to surrender you. Then David and his men, about 600, arose and left Keilah and went wherever they could go. And Shaul was informed that David had escaped from Keilah, and he ceased to go out. And David remained in the wilderness in strongholds, and remained in the hill country in the wilderness of Ziph. And Shaul sought him every day, but Elohim did not give him into his hand. And David saw that Shaul had come out to seek his life, while David was in the wilderness of Ziph at Horesh. Then Jehonathan, Shaul's son, arose and went to David at Horesh, and strengthened his hand in Elohim, and said to him, Do not fear, for the hand of Shaul my father is not going to find you, and you are to reign over Yisrael, and I am to be next to you. Even my father Shaul knows that. And they made a covenant before Jehovah. And David remained at Horesh, while Jehonathan went to his house. And the Ziphites came up to Shaul at Geba, saying, Is David not hiding with us in strongholds, Horesh, in the hill of Hachilah, which is on the south of the wasteland? And now, O sovereign, by all the desire of your being, come down, and on our part is to surrender him into the sovereign's hand. And Shaul said, Blessed are you of Jehovah, for you have sympathy with me. Please go, prepare yet further, and find out and see the place where his hideout is, who has seen him there, for I am told that he is very cunning. So look and learn all about the hiding places where he hides. And you shall come back to me with certainty. Then I shall go with you, and it shall be, if he is in the land which I shall search for him throughout all the clans of Yehuda, And they rose up and went to Ziph before Shaul, while David and his men were in the wilderness of Maon, in the desert plain on the south of the wasteland. And Shaul and his men went to seek him, and they informed David. So he went down to the rock and remained in the wilderness of Maon. And when Shaul heard this, he pursued David in the wilderness of Maon. And Shaul went on one side of the mountain, and David and his men on the other side of the mountain. And David was hurrying to get away from Shaul, for Shaul and his men were surrounding David and his men to take them. Then a messenger came to Shaul, saying, "Hurry and come, for the Philistines have invaded the land." So Shaul turned back from pursuing David and went against the Philistines. Therefore they called that place Selah Hamalekoth. And David went up from there and remained in strongholds at En-gedi. And it came to be, when Shaul had returned from pursuing the Philistines, that it was reported to him, saying, "See, David is in the wilderness of En-gedi." So Shaul took 3,000 chosen men from all Israel and went to seek David and his men on the rock of the wild goats. And he came to the sheepfolds on the way, and there was a cave, and Shaul went in to relieve himself. Now David and his men were sitting in the sides of the cave. And the men of David said to him, "See, the day of which Jehovah said to you, 'See, I am giving your enemy into your hand, and you shall do to him as it seems good to you.' And David arose and gently cut off a corner of Shaul's robe. And it came to be afterward that the heart of David struck him, because he had cut the robe of Shaul. And he said to his men, 'Far be it from me, by Jehovah, that I should do this matter to my master, anointed of Jehovah, to stretch out my hand against him, for he is the anointed of Jehovah.' And David dispersed his servants with these words, and did not allow them to rise against Shaul. And Shaul rose up from the cave and went on his way. And afterward David arose and went out of the cave, and called out to Shaul, saying, 'My master, the sovereign!' And when Shaul looked behind him, David bowed with his face to the earth, and did obeisance. And David said to Shaul, 'Why do you listen to the words of men who say, "See, David seeks to do you evil"? See, this day your eyes have seen that Jehovah gave you today into my hand in the cave. And one said to kill you, but my eye pardoned you. And I said, I do not stretch out my hand against my master, for he is the anointed of Jehovah. And my father, see, yes, see the corner of your robe in my hand. For in that I cut off the corner of your robe, and did not kill you. Know and see that there is neither evil nor rebellion in my hand. And I have not sinned against you, while you are hunting my life to take it. Let Jehovah judge between you and me, and let Jehovah revenge me on you, but my hand is not against you. As the proverb of the ancients says, wrong comes from the wrongdoer, but my hand is not against you. After whom has the sovereign of Israel come out? Whom do you pursue? A dead dog? A flea? And Jehovah shall be judge and rightly rule between you and me, and see and plead my case, and rightly rule me out of your hand. And it came to be, when David had ended speaking these words to Shaul, that Shaul said, Is this your voice, my son David? So Shaul lifted up his voice and wept. And he said to David, You are more righteous than I, for you have rewarded me with good, whereas I have rewarded you with evil. And you have shown today how you have done good to me. For when Jehovah surrendered me into your hand, you did not kill me. For if a man finds his enemy, shall he let him get away safely? And let Jehovah reward you with good for what you have done to me today. And now look, I know that you shall certainly reign, and that the reign of Israel shall be established in your hand. And now, swear to me by Jehovah that you do not cut off my seed after me, nor destroy my name from my father's house. And David swore to Shaul. Then Shaul went home, and David and his men went up to the stronghold. And Shemuel died, and all Israel gathered and mourned for him and buried him at his home in Ramah. And David arose and went down into the wilderness of Paran. Now there was a man in Maon, and his work was in Carmel, and the man was very great. And he had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. And he came to be shearing his sheep in Carmel. And the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife was Abigail. And she was a woman of good understanding and beautiful. But the man was hard and evil in his doings, and he was of Caleb. And David heard in the wilderness that Nabal was shearing his sheep. And David sent 10 young men, and David said to the young men, Go up to Carmel, and you shall come to Nabal, and greet him in my name, and say, Long life and peace to you, and peace to your house, and peace to all that you have. And now I have heard that you have shearers. Now your shepherds have been with us. We did not put them to shame, and not a speck of theirs was missing all the days they were in Carmel. Ask your young men and let them inform you. So let my young men find favor in your eyes, for we come on a good day. Please, give whatever comes to your hand and your servants and to your son David. And the young men of David came and spoke to Nabal according to all these words in the name of David, and waited. But Nabal answered the servants of David and said, Who is David, and who is the son of Yeshai? The servants who are running away from their masters have become many nowadays. And shall I take my bread and my water and my meat that I have slaughtered for my shears and give it to men coming from who knows where? And the young men of David turned around on their way and went back, and came and reported to him all these words. And David said to his men, Each one gird his sword. So they each girded on his sword, and David also girded on his sword. And about 400 men went with David, and 200 remained with the baggage. And one of the young men informed Abigail, the wife of Nabal, saying, See, David has sent messengers from the wilderness to greet our master, but he scoffed at them. But the men were very good to us, and did not put us to shame, nor did we miss any items all the days we accomplished them when we were in the fields. They were a wall to us both by night and day, all the days we were with them and tending the sheep. And now know and see that you should do, for evil has been resolved against our master and against all his household, and he is too much of a son of a Belial to speak to. And Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves and 2 skins of wine and 5 sheep, and made ready 5 measures of roasted grain and 100 clusters of raisins and 200 cakes of figs, and loaded them on donkeys. And she said to her servants, Pass over before me. See, I am coming after you. But she did not inform her husband Nabal. And it came to be as she rode on the donkey, that she went down under cover of the hill, and there were David and his men coming down toward her, and she met them. And David had said, "Only in vain have I protected all that this one has in the wilderness, so that not a speck was missing of all that belongs to him, and he has repaid me evil for good. Let Elohim do so and more also to the enemies of David, if I leave one male of all who belongs to him by morning light." And Abigail saw David, and she hastened to come down from the donkeys, and fell on her face before David, and bowed down to the ground, and fell at his feet, and said, "On me, my master, let the crookedness be on me. And please, let your female servant speak in your ears, and hear the words of your female servant. Please, let not my master regard this man of Belial, Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, your female servant, did not see the young men of my masters whom you sent. And now, my master, as Jehovah lives, and as your being lives, since Jehovah has withheld you from coming to bloodshed, and from avenging yourself with your own hand, now, then, let your enemies be as Nabal, even those seeking evil against my master. And now, this present which your female servant has brought to my master, let it be given to the young men who follow my master. Please, forgive the transgression of your female servant. For Jehovah is certainly making a steadfast house for my master, because my master fights the battles of Jehovah, and evil is not found in you in all your days. And if a man rises to pursue you and seek your life, and the life of my master has been bound in the bundle of the living with Jehovah your Elohim, then the lives of your enemies shall sling out as from the pocket of a sling. And it shall be, when Jehovah has done for my master, according to all the good that he has spoken concerning you, and has commanded you to be ruler over Israel. Do not let this be a staggering and stumbling of heart to my master, that you have shed blood without cause, or that my master has saved himself. And when Jehovah has done good to my master, then remember your female servant." And David said to Abigail, "Blessed be Jehovah, Elohim of Israel, who sent you to meet me today. And blessed is your good taste, and blessed are you, because you have kept me this day from coming to bloodshed, and from avenging myself with my own hand. Nevertheless, as Jehovah, Elohim of Israel lives, who has kept me back from doing evil to you, if you have not hurried and come to meet me, not a male would have been left to Nabal by break of day for certain." And David received from her hand what she had brought to him, and said to her, "Go up in peace to your house. See, I have listened to your voice, and have accepted your face." And Abigail went to Nabal, and see, he was at a feast in his house, like the feast of a sovereign. And Nabal's heart was glad within him, and he was exceedingly drunk. So she told him not a word, little or much, until morning light. And it came to be in the morning, when the wine had gone from Nabal, and his wife had told him these matters, that his heart died within him, and he became like a stone. And it came to be in about 10 days that Jehovah smote Nabal, and he died. And David heard that Nabal was dead, and he said, "Blessed be Jehovah, who has pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal, and has kept his servant from evil. For Jehovah has returned the evil of Nabal on his own head." And David sent and spoke to Abigail, and take her as his wife. And when the servants of David had come to Abigail at Carmel, they spoke to her, saying, "David sent us to you to ask you to become his wife." And she arose, bowed her face to the earth, and said, "Here is your female servant, a servant to wash the feet of the servants of my master." And Abigail hurried and rose, and rode on a donkey with 5 of her female attendants. And she followed the messengers of David and became his wife. David had also taken Ahinoam of Yisrael, and so both of them were his wives. But Shaul had given Michal, his daughter David's wife, to Palti, son of Laish, who was from Galilim.